What's up, y'all? It's your girl V with Reality Recap here for another emergency podcast episode after today's shocking news of Real Housewives of Potomac star Wendy Osefo and her husband Eddie Osefo. We have she doesn't really need an introduction. She family at this point, but we have the one and only your legal bestie from Is That Legal, attorney Simone. And she says for today, she is the real housewife of Houston. Okay. So she is here as I spill the tea on all the facts we know so far in this case. And of course, attorney Simone will give us all the legal information on the case, answer our questions, because there are many. I am like
Baby.
most of the people. I am so shocked by this. Not Miss 4 Degrees. What is happening? I don't even know where to begin, honey. But yes, earlier this morning, the news broke that Wendy Osefo and her husband Eddie Osefo was indicted on 14, was it 14 charges in total of insurance fraud, making false claims to the police department, and they were arrested and out on bond, a $50,000 bail, not bond, a $50,000 bail. There was a lot alleged in the articles online on Us Weekly, TMZ. The actual sheriff department did a press conference, which I don't know if that happens if you're not a reality TV star, celebrity, that you get a whole press conference because you out here trying to fraud your insurance companies, honey. But they held about 20-minute press conference, and attorney Simone has the transcript from the press conference. I posted about 8 minutes of it. I gave you guys the details and all of the facts, the evidence that the police station had gathered in their almost, I want to say almost year-long investigation that they did after these claims came to fruition, I should say. So Wendy and Eddie, will start there. On April 7th of 2020, Eddie and Wendy, along with their 3 school-age children, came back from spring break. We all saw it. If you didn't, I saw it. She was in Jamaica for spring break with her children, and they came
Couldn't
back.
afford it, apparently,
They
for the
reported,
investigation.
right. They reported and posted it on social media that their home had been burglarized. Um, Simone, where you want to start at? You want to start from how the police called? The police were called to the home to investigate this alleged burglary. Police said they became suspicious after the entrance of said robbery, right? There was a broken screen of a window that was on the roof. And the police said that they went out on the roof and they came back in the window and realized you can't come through the window without stepping on a toilet bowl.
That's right.
And that
Mhm.
when they came off the roof, they had roof grit in their shoes. And it was no traces of that in the bathroom or on the toilet that they had to step down on to get through the window. They said the house was in a ramsack state. They said that the mattress was thrown off of the bed, but that the home was secure with the ADT system and ring camera during their vacation. And that there was no evidence, there was no motion or evidence of a break in or an alarm being set off. And there was only evidence on the ring camera of packages being delivered, but no forced entry from what they could tell, which made them very suspicious.
Suspicious.
So that began the police investigation, where they then, attorney Simone, right? They got a warrant, a search warrant for their email addresses, where they saw emails. But they did say that one thing that tipped them off was that some of the reported items in the insurance claim were items that they saw Wendy wearing on Instagram. Attorney Simone, who told? You mean to tell me the police is just checking? Because this is a very small police station, guys. Like this is
I'm gonna tell you who told. The insurance company told. The
That's
insurance company has their own literal private investigators. What they do is they will take like retired detectives and stuff, and they hire them, and they pay them like 3-4 times what they were making as active detectives, and they have
mhm.
them to work like 20 hours a week during their retirement to work on specific cases with specific people. And they sit around eating fucking donuts and bonbons and drinking their coffees from home with one hand in their pants as they peruse your social media. Okay, it looks something like this. Mm. That's what it looks like, okay? And that's the person who they didn't need anyone else to tell. Their social media told on themselves. Can you imagine if you made 3 times your regular salary sitting at home with one hand in your pants farting, going through people's social media for a living? I would love it.
Wow. Wow, so no housewife told on her, huh? That's what I was
I don't think so. That may have been supplementary, but the thing of the insurance companies is they don't want to have to pay out claims. They literally will do anything in their power to not pay out claims.
right.
So they would rather launch this type of investigation and pay an investigator, because at the end of the day, that investigator, even if it's not found that you actually did whatever they're accusing, at a minimum, if you're saying your claim is worth 423,000 like this one was,
Mhm.
just because of the argument and the rigmarole, they can get you to accept pennies on the dollar instead, just to close this out and not have to wait 3 years till a case is settled.
Wow. And on top of the evidence from social media, there is an actual post floating around social media of the said wedding band that was reported that they saw Wendy wearing, but also they seized their email accounts or had a warrant out to search their email accounts where they saw email exchanges between Eddie and Wendy where the conversation was saying, "Hey, can you add? Is there anything else we can add to this claim? I'm trying to get it to 420 plus $1,000, which is our, I think their highest
Policy limits.
limit. Yeah, that was their limit. So they were emailing back and forth and add, kind of adding things to, like they called the insurance company and added more items that were said to be stolen. Also, what else did the police say on top of that? It was something else also. So it was the emails, the Instagram, and what else was it? Oh, they also saw receipts. There were receipts that were turned in to the insurance companies as well, where they were able to track back and see that within the return policy limit, the items that reported had been returned to the retailers they were purchased from.
Yeah. So like, I'm gonna speak to the returns. I remember when I was
Mhm.
looking at that information, or well, when I was listening to the press conference, the sheriff was saying like, "Oh yeah, the 2018 return policy," and I'm like, "Why are we going back to 2018? This claim was filed in 2023." Well, apparently there were items that she bought from some designer store. I don't know if it was Burberry or DR. It was Gucci, I think it was. She bought in 2018. Well, apparently back in 18 they had some type of crazy unlimited return policy because she was
Mm.
able to return it in 2023. And my thing is this, girl, if they was finna let you return it, why you need to go and do this little insurance scam? Just return it and get your money. You didn't already wore it on the show. She started on the show in 2021. So that means
Mhm.
you would have been on there for 2 years. But I also say that to say, when I heard that, I was like, what in the hell? Now, apparently, that's no longer Gucci's return policy. Can't return things. What is it? 4 years later, five
Right.
years later.
That's
Um,
nobody now.
but that was one of the things. And the time frame was apparently she bought it around 18, returned it in 23, claimed it lost, or sorry, claimed it stolen in 24. But
Mhm.
because there was the receipt, with one of the things receipts these days have on there are barcodes. And even if they don't have a barcode, there is a code for the specific serial number product for your high end product. That's because, like, if it ever gets stolen, it ends up in a pawn shop, etc. That's how they know. Like, all designer purses, truly designer purses, have
Mhm.
serial numbers in them, and they trace it.
Right.
So they were able to trace the serial number and go back, and they found film that showed her, not nobody else, not a thief, not a burglar, her
Returning.
returning it a year prior.
Child, listen. It's giving world dumbest criminals. It definitely is. Her husband is a lawyer, which I want to get into you and understand how this will impact him as a lawyer and his license or what have you. But they didn't think this through very clearly. I don't
No, dumb
understand.
criminals.
Yeah, like what would make them think that they would get away with this at their celebrity status? Why?
When I did my live earlier today, I literally stopped because I wanted to confirm what kind of lawyer he was. And my understanding is he was like a tax type of lawyer or something like that. I was like, you're clearly not personal injury. Because with personal injury, you would know that none of these shenanigans will fly. I have had clients where the lawyer, have hired an investigator to follow them around to make sure that their claim was legit. Because I know that the other side is doing it. I want to know what the other side is going to find. You're not about to create no workers' comp claim and somebody sees you on a Harlem street corner as a homeless-ish man, homeless
Mhm.
adjacent, doing chin-ups and pull-ups when we're out here talking about you slipped and fell on a UPS warehouse floor. You know how to play with me like that. No. So I say that to say it made sense to me that he was not an injury lawyer. He was not an insurance lawyer. I'm an insurance lawyer. So that's how come I knew the information. For example, how Cassie got her settlement money in 24 hours because it came from insurance. I know those things because I'm an insurance related lawyer.
Mhm.
I also know you don't play with them people.
At
You
all.
don't play with them people. They literally have an algorithm that just tick, tick, tocks. And if certain things are alerted, it automatically goes to the fraud department. Now, I will say one thing though, in their defense, because someone had asked me in my live earlier, which I love this question. They said, is there anything that you would argue if you were defending them? And I'll say this. There was the text exchange. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up so I can read it. There was the text exchange
Mhm.
between the two of them, where he did say, "Hey, is there?" Let me. I'm gonna go back up to about the amount. Ooh, that mugshot. You know you was going to jail any day now, and you didn't lay your lace down. That's another story. Um,
And some
that
people
lace it.
were like, somehow they were fighting me in the comments saying this isn't a real mugshot. She would have had to take her wig off. I'm like, this is very
No, no, no. I
difficult.
can. I can explain that. No. So she's not like poor people like us. So what happens is when you already have a lawyer on deck. So there was an investigation going on. So if
Mhm.
she and her husband were smart, like Diddy did during the investigation, they go ahead and they hire someone. That's probably what happened because the way that they got in and out on their bail so quickly, honestly, kind of like before the rest of the media found out, they already had a lawyer before that day. So that
Mhm.
what then happens is that lawyer negotiates a time for the two of you guys to literally come in, get booked, take your picture, pay your bill, and get on out.
So why did they arrest them at the home though? In the press conference it said they arrested them they went to the home and arrested
Oh, then I
them
don't know.
and brought them in. So that's why I'm
Oh,
like,
then I don't know. She was just looking cute at home. Maybe she was finna go somewhere. So I correct me. Yeah, if they were arrested at home, then that's not the thing. The procedure I was referring to is literally your lawyer schedules a time and y'all
scheduler,
come.
yeah.
So you got me there.
It
You
almost
got me
seems like
there.
they had no idea this was coming. I'm confused by the mug shots. Wendy's smiling in the mug shots as if she's not worried. She doesn't seem from based on the mug shot. They don't seem to be worried. Eddie looked like he high off at Happy Eddie in his mug shot. I don't know what was going on, but they don't look worried at all from the mug shot.
No, that's what I was thinking. They don't at all. So there, I feel like that means there must be more to the story. I don't know. Maybe the items that they have on camera of her returning, maybe it's something that maybe it's a more like I don't know. Maybe it's a bunch of T-shirts from Gucci. I don't know. Mm,
Because the
I don't
perception
know.
she gave, perception she gave after the robbery on social media was almost as if she wasn't phased because she could just buy it all back. But the articles are also saying that the police discovered that they were in basically financial ruin or
Yeah,
having hardship at the time
serious
of them
financial
filing
hardship.
this insurance claim. which I'm
Mhm.
also shocked by. I guess I can't say I'm shocked by it because there are a lot of housewives that get on here and portray a lifestyle that they think we want to see. And they're not really actually living that lifestyle. We've seen it with Nene, where Greg fronted her
Because
life.
let's be honest, Wendy
Wendy
came out of
Williams is
nowhere. Now,
different.
I don't watch the show. Who was Wendy friends with before she got on the show? That
She
was already
came
on the show.
Yeah, I mean, she came on the show kinda as if she knew Karen through a committee that they were on, and she was brought into the group.
That's a
But
lot.
yeah, it was
And is
kinda
Karen claiming her?
Karen was not claiming her. She was saying
Exactly.
like, "I
No.
I know of
Mm-mm.
her, I don't know
Nope.
her," you know?
I know for
But
a fact
she was
around
a
that time frame,
successor prior.
which was pandemic, I have a lot of friends who were interviewed for various housewives shows of different cities. And there were some of them. I was like, I don't know why they called you, except the fact that you're pretty. You're pretty, but your person, you got the personality of a potato, and without butter, and you're rich. So, like a lot of the girlfriends that I had, they were called because they were rich, and on social media they lived extravagant lives. But half of them, I was like, well, I mean, I don't like. I remember I had one homegirl. I was like, I don't know if you want to do it because everybody's gonna find out about all your husband's mistresses. Would you like him? Everybody to know that he's fucking a secretary, or is that something you'd like to keep within your little family circle? You know, amongst you and the people at the family reunion. And so she didn't. You know, she didn't do her respective city. But getting back to the facts, I would say if I were defending them, there's like two main things that I would focus on. Number
Mhm.
one is the fact that commentary where there was the email that Eddie sent to Wendy saying, is there any other high end items that you have not included? I want to get this up to the policy limit of 425. Honestly, I feel like that should be protected as attorney client privilege. That is literally something that I would tell a client who has an insurance claim against, whatever company for a burglary or robbery. I
Mhm.
would say, because a lot of people don't even remember what their policy limit is for the personal articles within the home. You know what your policy is for the entire home because you have an idea of your mortgage and what their home is worth. But a lot of people don't remember it because usually the articles are some percentage of what the whole house is worth. So it's actually very normal for a lawyer to send their client an email that says, hey, look over this list again. Your policy limits are this. And focus on high end. Don't tell me about some socks that were stolen. Don't tell me about the Boone's farm that they drank up or they stole. Because low end items are going to be depreciated. Anything on the list is going to be depreciated. So
Mhm.
whatever the dollar value. So for example, if the policy limit was 420 and you give them 420 worth of stuff, they're probably going to give you like 350 back, 370.
Mhm.
So I actually always tell my clients, don't you sit up there and lie. Because you lie, you die. I'm out of here. But if you can, put everything on there and you even go over the limit. Because some people think like, oh, I'm just going to limit the stop. No, go on over because you don't know how they're going to appreciate it. So I say that to say that as him being the lawyer, which
Mhm.
makes me think he was probably leading the filing of the claim because there's actually more charges against him than her. There's 9 against him and I believe 7 against her.
Right.
And that's probably because she let him lead her and she submitted to how he submitted. The second thing I'll say is this. The other element of the claim that the sheriff's office was talking about is they got fraud claims for the fact that they did not reveal to other insurers that they had other insurance.
Mhm.
Well, but here is the thing. The defense, if they were my clients, and if and only if this were supported by the evidence, I'm not lying for you. I don't need that type of money because at the end of the day, I still have to go in front of that judge with other cases. So I have to keep my credibility. But they had 3 different sets of insurance, and I confirm. They had travelers, which is for the personal items. They
Right.
had jewelers, whatever it's called, jewelers insurance that was only for the jewelry. That's because travelers, I used to have travelers, they cap you at like $1,000 for your jewelry. It's insane. So
Mm.
then you have to have a jewelry policy. So then they had jewelers for that. And then third, they had a company called Homesite. Homesite only covers damage to your home.
Property. Yes.
Right. So I would imagine the best defense to that would be, listen, if I'm talking to you about the jewelry that I'm missing, if you're the jewelry insurance and you ask me, do I have any other insurance coverage? I don't have any other coverage from my jewelry. Because Travelers said they only cover $1,000 worth it. And I got 40, 50,000. And Homesite only covers the building. So no.
So it sounds like there's nothing wrong with reporting multiple claims if it's separate items, like they had one for the jewelry, one for the property damage,
Correct.
and the Travelers were for
Yes.
the other items, like the handbags, like
Mm-hmm.
there were some Hermes bags and things like that were taken, some Birkins. So
Right.
that was separate. Okay.
Yeah.
But
And HFC has said this is actually a good defense if true. Right. If true.
because
Go ahead.
now, would it be wrong if they had? I'm assuming it would be wrong if they had reported to multiple insurance the same items.
You know, when
that
somebody
they
asked me
happened.
that earlier in the live, and my guess is that's what they're going to claim is the problem. But now that I'm thinking about it, and I have to think about it more clearly, that actually has a defense too. Because you can say, look, I'm giving you the list I gave the last people, or I'm giving you the most updated list I gave the last people because I know jewelry is excluded from your policy. I know you're not going to cover it.
Okay.
Right? So that would make sense to me because how many times have you been in a car accident or something like, I'll give you the example. I've had buku clients whose cars have gotten broken into. What's the first thing that people will do? You file a claim with your auto insurance. And what do they say? We're not covering this. We're not covering this. You have to file a claim with your homeowners or your renter's insurance. Okay. All right. And then you go to renter's insurance and renter's insurance says, okay, we're only going to cover the contents. We're not going to cover the fact that they vandalized the car. Okay, that's fine. But I say that to say that's a perfect example of someone presenting all the items to two insurance carriers, not to get double paid, but because it's the insurance company's responsibility to say this isn't covered, but this is. And it also enables them to see all the stuff that was taken. So now that I think about it, so I said that earlier, I was like, oh no, that could be now this is the part that would be a problem. If in fact you got paid from two insurance companies for the same item, that's where you got a problem.
Okay. And what I saw was that I believe, was it Travelers that had cut the check after they added the additional items, and Travelers cut a check for about $25,000.
Right, for the ring. That was for, interestingly, that was for the ring. So that may have been the problem because if you also went to Jewelers, whatever they were called, insurance company, they said it in the
it said Homesite, Jewelers, and Travelers. So
correct.
That's what
yeah. So if you also submitted that same ring to Jewelers, now you got a problem.
Okay. Well, take us through what does this potentially mean for those CFOs? Are they facing time?
Oh, absolutely. So let's talk about that. Okay. So here go the time. This is what we want. Let's get into the mess. Let's get into the day.
Yeah, they were asking too. They can't claim to multiple to see who's gonna pay more. I don't think you can do.
Oh no, absolutely, you cannot. Let me tell you, the only time you can do that, and I tell my clients about this. The only time you can do that is if it's an auto accident and your car has been totaled. In that case, you can ask the other person's insurance carrier to appraise your vehicle, right? If they're at fault, and then you also get to ask your insurance carrier to appraise your vehicle, even though it's not your fault. If you have full coverage, I always tell people to do that because no two companies ever come up with the same dollar value. And usually your own company will actually come up with a higher dollar value because they later subrogate it and get repaid by the other people. And so I tell clients to do that in the case of a totaled vehicle, only because they're only going to get paid one time, but then they get the higher of the two. And their insurance never goes up when it's not their fault because the other person's insurance reimburses yours for what's paid. But if it's the opposite, where you have two policies that cover the same thing and you try to get paid out by both, that's when you're going to jail. Wendy's going to jail. When there's
Even
gonna
if this is
talk.
like a first offense, you think they will get jail
It does
time?
not matter. It's too much line. It's too much money. Girl, it's $400,000. It'd be different if it was 10.
I
Think
thought
about
you
the
get a
people.
little first offender
Wendy's going to
leniency.
jail. Don't nobody care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't. I've seen worse. I've seen worse. However, the problem is this: insurance companies. This happens infrequently, but when it is people in the public and it is six figures worth, this is almost 500,000. They feel the need to make an example out of you,
Mhm.
so they work with the DA's office to get you a sentence where you're going to have to do some time. Now, if I was her, baby, I'd try to pull me a dead day and try and have my lawyers tell them, Your Honor, we want to go to this federal farm low minimum risk.
And they have 3 young children. I mean, Teresa
He
and
has
Joe,
7.
they
Well, they
had
weren't
their
all young, but
children, and they had one go to jail, one come back, one go in, one come back. But you
yeah.
feel I
Well,
was
they're doing so much time. I don't know if they're facing so much time. I don't know if it's a one go in and one come out,
how
a little
much? How much
hopscotch.
time?
Tag. I don't think they can play tag with this one. Listen, so under Maryland law, which is where this is, and this is state law, so she or he will go to a state prison. That's why I said if I was them, if I
Not
actually did
state.
what,
Not state prison. Oh my god.
girl, they don't have no programs up in that thing. Okay, in the state,
'Cause it's not
no,
the same county that Karen was in. The county Karen was in, like, that was a full-on rehabilitation center. Like, they had programs
that's
and
wonderful.
classes. This
Look
is
at God.
not Montgomery County, okay? So, state
The difference was
prison?
that was a county jail, ma'am. That was a county jail because Karen was dealing with a sentence of, I believe it was up to 1 year. So
Mhm.
when it's up to 1 year, you go to your local county jail. A lot of times, those are actually the nastiest ones. Those are the ones that be on what they call that show, 60 days locked in, 60 days in. I just like that show
Okay.
where people voluntarily go to jail, which is crazy. No, this is going to be a Maryland state prison. These are the ones where, they'd be arguing back and forth whether people with dicks get to come into the ladies' jail or the dicks got to go to the boys' jail. I don't want no dick in my jail. I don't want a dick in my locker room. I want vaginas over here, penises over here. But back to Wendy and them. What in the time that they're facing? Okay. So Wendy is facing approximately 7 felony insurance fraud charges and
Mhm.
a false statement. I don't know if Wendy has a false statement charge, but the felony insurance fraud, each count, each of the charges that each of them are facing, you're facing up to 10 years. That's the range. Up to 10 years.
For
Up to
each
10
chart? Oh my
for
god,
each.
y'all.
For each. And then for false statements is up to 10 years. Now, the judge can choose to combine them. So when you combine the maxes, the judge can choose to stack them on top or run them concurrently. The standard is concurrently, same damn time. I mean, same damn time. Okay, you're going the same damn time. Now, although she's facing up to 10, realistically, first time offender, she's a doctor, he's a lawyer, all that stuff. Realistically, they're facing 2 to 7 years. And a judge is actually going to hold them to a higher standard because they knew better. They had a lot of education. She got all 4 of those degrees. Well, baby, this is a time where them 4 degrees is not going to sit well with the judge. And
Maybe.
oh boy, Eddie, and his law degree, even more. If they are found guilty, they are going to get higher end of that. So for Wendy, she might, she ain't no lawyer. Okay. She just got a little PhD. So maybe she can get away with 2 years. But Eddie, and he's a Negro. Okay.
They
He's
gonna
a
try their
Negro
best.
lawyer. He thinks he's some man, and he's an African, so he thinks he's better than. I'm not saying anything that, but I'm saying judges. There are some, because I don't think the judge is going to look like Eddie. The less the judge looks like you, the less sympathetic and empathetic they are to you. So I'm saying that to say Eddie is going to be facing the most potential time because what
Mhm.
judges like to do is when a lawyer comes in front of them committing fraud, baby, they like to make a whole example out of you. Not example, example with a Z.
Wow. So there, we know that what time they're facing. What does this mean for Eddie's law license?
It's
Would
gone.
it's gone?
In the words of NSYNC, bye, bye, bye.
On top of the fact that, they allege on the show that he has a very successful marijuana business, which I did a recent recap of the season premiere, and I pulled up his website where they do sell
Bye,
merch.
bye, bye.
That's gone too.
Yeah, you can't be a felon and have that business.
Right.
Bye, bye,
I know that
bye.
he doesn't own a dispensary, but yes, he does have his own marijuana line, and it seems to be successful. He's growing into different states, but I know that it is a very rigid process and scrutiny of your record and your past in order to be able to be in that business. So
Now, let me clarify. If you're saying he's just a brand, but he doesn't actually like
no, he
distribute.
doesn't have he doesn't have a
Okay.
dispensary, but his product is sold in other
Well, you
dispensaries.
can't you need some type of something to be able to make a product, right? So, whatever is, I don't know, license, authority, whatever you need to make a product, he's not going to be able to have as a felon in most states. There are some states like New York that actually gave people who previously had marijuana convictions first dibs at the licenses that were going to be created within the state. There were some states that did that, but that would not apply to him because those people have already gotten him. He's a new felon and he's not a felon related to substances. So instead, like if he has a brand, you can market whatever you want under whatever name that you want. But what he will not be able to do is own legally within whatever state or federal.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't have it. No, it's bye bye, bye bye, bye bye bye. No.
Wow.
But I'll say that's going to take more time for them to come. It would probably take more time for whatever licensing entity is with respect to the weed. They may let him go all the way through with the trial. But regarding his law license, they're going to sweep up in there and basically say, scram, nigga. Oh, sorry. Scram, Christian. Graham, man of God. That literally, once you get indicted, the bar says you're suspended until all this is resolved, at which point we're going to determine. Now, I have a feeling he probably doesn't take many clients. He probably uses his license.
I think he uses it for the marijuana business.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think he's actively like practicing law.
Yeah, somebody said, I really believe Wendy's behind this. Eddie seems frugal. Fame was getting to Wendy. See, Fame was definitely getting to Wendy because you saw that new face she just up and bought overnight. Like we weren't gonna, girl, we saw that. Booty. You know, we can hit rewind. We saw what your face looked like last season. You was a cutie patootie then. You're a cutie patootie now. However, it would be better if you just invested in a better personality.
Right. And now I said it's starting to make sense why Eddie parents don't mess with her. His family don't fool with her. Maybe they knew something we didn't, y'all. I do. And
Carrollton County, Maryland. And y'all tell me what you think of Carrollton County, Maryland. Somebody said it's Klan country.
It seemed like when I looked it up, a very small town, a very small police station, and it looked like they would be elated to have a story or a case of this stature. Like they came with the press conference immediately. Like they don't even use their social media like that. And they did a full-on live press conference today. Like they're excited for this case to bring spotlight to them. Yeah, like
when I tell you, baby, you better call Joe Tacopino, or you better call Brian Steele, or who's that other Mark Agnifilo? Those are Diddy's lawyers. Mark and Brian Steele were Diddy's lawyers, and then Joe Tacopino, that was ASAP Rocky's lawyer that got him off. You better call it. They don't even got that money.
Yeah. And
the claim, y'all, was allegedly $423,000, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Now, could you tell how much of that they got? I honestly couldn't tell.
The only thing that I saw that they got was that Travelers cut the check for about $25,000. So 23. Yeah, that's all I saw. They got a check for $25,380. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
So out of
Yeah.
all that they claim, that's all that they received. And I really didn't think that I don't know if Eddie his involvement or not. These were just my thoughts. Yes, I thought Wendy said this is a great way to. I don't know what the financial strain that the article talked about that the police found that they were in, but I did feel like this would be a way for her to, because we do like housewives that dress nice and wear designers that kind of they appeal to the audience more. But I was also wondering, like, did he need a little change to get his marijuana business flourishing, to get him out there and moving in different states? I just wonder, were they just like, I got an idea. This is cool. It can help the both of us. I have no idea. I don't know if it's all to
I was
blame on Wendy, but I could see it being both of them.
I was hoping that it was like one of their idiot ideas, such that the other one could claim ignorance and non-participation. Like if one of the spouses really was like staged it all and told the other, let's say like he staged it all and he tells her, oh my gosh, all this stuff. Oh no, she would have known she had the ringer. Whatever. I was hoping that it was not the both of them, that one of them could at least play dumb so that the kids could be protected, so that one of them could preserve assets or any of that. Somebody said, I can't believe they're all the way in Carroll County. I thought they lived closer to Baltimore.
Yes.
Why are they? Somebody said,
A
desperate.
lot of those housewives don't actually live in Potomac. Y'all remember when Karen was renting about closer to Virginia? And yeah, that's what they said in the conference, that they're Carroll County, about an hour away from the show is said to be filmed and featured around.
So what it sounds like is that she really, like, there are two types of housewives. There are the type of woman who's always wanted to be one, and this is aspirational. And then there's the type where they already, like Candy, already has stuff going on,
Mhm.
but they're interesting individually with or without a show. And so therefore multiple shows, inclusive of Housewives, reached out to them and was like, hey, what about us? And they're like, okay, I'll give you a shot. Right. So I think of that when I think of Candy, even when I think of K. Michelle, I think of that. But then there are, like, now I'm going to say the Wendy's, where it was probably aspirational. She was like, I live here. These things happen. Those people work my nerves, because I'm one of those people where people are like, oh, you're naturally interesting. And like my real friends would be like, oh, if a TV followed you, I'd watch it. Or strangers say that to me too. Right. But I've never affirmatively been like, hey, I'm going to be on a show and show you my life. Because I'm like, hey, if there was a show to show you my life, it's going to show you all my personal problems. It's going to show you all my bald spots in my hair, how I couldn't find a hairbrush today. That's why I've got this towel on my head. It's going to tell you about my questionable dates, my financial problems, the taxes that I may or may not owe. Like, give me a fucking break.
Yeah.
And I feel like, but for Wendy, she put on herself pressure to appear perfect, hence the reiteration of all of her education and her constant reminders. I didn't watch the show, but I did see those clips, and it made me want to be like, okay, you got 4 degrees. How much do you owe for those degrees? Tell us that. How much debt do you
That's
have?
a good point. That's a good point. And you guys are absolutely right in the comments. We have seen on the show where she's asked him for large lump sums of money prior. She had her
Her
candle.
husband?
She's asked her husband on the show. She wanted to start like a home brand line where she was doing candles. She started beefing with Karen on how many wicks her candle had versus Karen's Grand Dame home essential line, but she was starting a complete home essential line and starting with candles first. And she did ask him for like a large sum of money to start the business. So I definitely could see her being the one to say, hey, let's do this, so that it could further us on the show, our lifestyle we're trying to maintain. But I was just also wondering, did he say, good idea, this can also help my Happy Eddie brand?
I was thinking about that too. Like, yeah, because, okay, an important thing for everyone to understand and or be reminded of, you guys are a brilliant audience, that's why I love y'all, is that when you are in the Mary Jane business, you can't get SBA loans. you can't get any business loans because federal funding will not support that because it is not authorized under the federal government. It is a state specific thing. I have clients in that industry, and that is one of their biggest things. Even like I've had clients that were trying to acquire property to like expand greenhouses and stuff. They can't get a federally backed loan. They had to get a hard money loan or private lenders. So that actually, Vanessa, would make perfect sense that he wanted to expand and or grow his brand. There is literally no possible federally backed loan that business could legally obtain or qualify for. Not a one.
Yeah, because he went from, I mean, he has multiple strands. He's selling flour, pre-rolled tincture, gummies. They're selling merch. Like it grew. Now on the show, on the premiere, she said that it's doing very well and they're very rich. Y'all remember that? She said, "Ching ching, it's very lucrative." That's what she said.
I'm going to tell you this. Another thing about like when you're with a male attorney, women have a tendency to assume that they make lots of money in the same way that doctors do. However, with lawyers, it's very different in that we are very much solo practitioners, like entrepreneurs. You eat what you kill. Unlike with doctors, people are always getting sick. You know, you go to law school, you open up a whatever practice and you have like a constant stream of clients. It's not the same for lawyers. You consistently have to market and get those new clientele. I say that to say, even when I looked at Michael Sterling and Eva, I knew Eva was a breadwinner. People were like, "Why would you say that?" I was like, "Because I went to school with Michael. I know Michael." And it's not that Michael's not brilliant. It's just that the money ebbs and flows in those types of practice areas. So I could see how Wendy would not be aware of that because a lot of men are not going to tell you, "I ain't got it right now." They're going to tell you, "Oh, that's ridiculous," or "What you're asking for isn't reasonable." Because I'm sure that was true too. I'm sure Wendy was asking.
Yeah, I mean, she's made comments that she doesn't really know who their mortgage is with, like she doesn't have to take care of those things. But she's
And
been
that's
with
great.
him, you know, they've been together through, I believe, through college and things like that. So eh, she didn't meet him as a lawyer. They've grown together.
I hear you, but what I'm
don't
telling you is
understand.
she may not know how much like certain bills are or even how much money he brings in on average annually because he don't know.
Yes.
Because he
And
don't
you
know.
guys are right. Wendy did quit her job as a professor on the last season. She did pick up another job as a
Now what?
professor, but she
She
was
didn't
just
quit that
teaching
job. They
like
didn't renew her contract.
oh,
Quit lying. They
I
didn't
was
renew her contract.
wondering if they
Mm-mm.
would with her
She's a
being on
damn
reality
lie. You
TV.
don't
She said
quit.
she
Mm-mm.
quit. That was her
Nope.
storyline. She
Nope.
did pick up another
Liar.
professor job, but it was more like she was teaching a reality TV entrepreneur
She's
type
an
course
adjunct. She's
at a
teaching
different
one
college.
class. If she's lucky, she's making 4,000 a month to teach that one class. If she's lucky. If
Yeah, and
she's
she was
lucky.
doing the news correspondent things,
Free. 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 That is free. I do it. It's free. Unless she has an agent or unless she is the go-to like the Angela Rise where like or Barack Seller, I'm saying his name wrong. Bakari Sellers. Like if you are the go-to, the CNN person, you're the person they talk to about XYZ consistently, then you get a contract and you have an agent and you get a contract. But the stuff I seen her talk about, which was miscellaneous as hell, sometimes I think I could be wrong. Sometimes I saw news. Let me tell you something. When you see a Negro on Fox News talking about they are a correspondent, baby, they just getting started. They at the bottom of the barrel. That's why they're over there. They're trying to get their demo reel up.
Yeah. And she
Uh-uh.
did have like a podcast show she was doing. She didn't really keep up with the episodes though.
Well, she also doesn't have much personality. I don't want to watch her do anything. What would you like to watch Wendy do?
I like her reads on the show. I mean, she gives good educational reads, but yeah, I
Okay.
didn't watch any of her podcast episodes. I'm gonna just be honest. I didn't
And
watch
why
any
was
of them.
that? Why was that?
Because I'd rather watch Attorney Simone or do my own where we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna turn up. We're gonna get a little
No,
lit.
Danielle said he went to Georgetown Law. Oh, wow. He went to Georgia. No, I said that too. I almost got fooled too. No, ma'am. He went to Rutgers Law. So what happens is when you go to a non-top law school, I'm just going to say that. In top is like top 15, top 20. When you go to one of the others, there's like 200 others. And you have trouble getting a job, what you'll do is you'll then go and get a tax LLM, which is what he got, or you get some type of an LLM, which is a 1-year law degree at a prestigious institution. That way it's the top thing on your resume and you can actually get a job. So that's what he did. And it was a great strategy. And so because now, instead of people saying, oh, that's the lawyer from Rutgers, they say, oh, that's the lawyer from Georgetown. Even though he didn't get into Georgetown. He paid money over. It's like people get an honorary degree. You know like who we talking about, like Dr. So and so.
Yeah,
it's like you can pay your money, but you didn't get in there. But it worked. In the end, he got a job, and that's what matters. But someone had a good question. There was like, but can they get deported? I did look that up. They are both listed as naturalized citizens. ChatGPT is not always correct. Assuming ChatGPT is correct, if they are naturalized citizens, no, they cannot be deported. They're going to do their jail time. And you're right, they are first-time citizens, defenders, so they could get their little jail time, and then they'll get to stay here. They'll get to come.
Okay,
but I personally think,
great question.
yeah.
Because it said that they immigrated to the United States. She did with her family at the age of 3, and they moved to Durham, North Carolina.
Oh, that was her. Oh, maybe that was her background check I found. Okay, let me look it up. Okay.
Oh, you found background check. So while you pull that up, my other question is, they are set to appear, or are they going to appear in court? This is what I saw on their court scheduling information. It says hearing on counsel is scheduled for November 7th. So what will take place on that date?
A hearing on counsel will happen
on November 7th.
It's probably like where you enter like not guilty or guilty or whatever your plea is, and you designate who you want your lawyer to be, or say, I need a lawyer.
Okay. Because it says they had their hearing, their initial appearance today. They had the bail. They paid the $50,000 and they were released. But they have a hearing on counsel on November 7th at 8:45 a.m. Put that on your calendar.
Oh yes, well, Vanessa, we'll have to reconvene at that time. Yeah. Oh, Nicole has some tea. She said, "Here's some more tea. Wendy technically went to law school with Eddie, but didn't do well academically and pivoted to a PH and a D." Good for her, Wendy. So when I hear people say I have 4 degrees, one of the things that usually comes to mind is more than likely a lot of those are stupid. When I meet people, for example, who tell me that they had 3 bachelors, why would you do that? Why would you, unless it took the same time to get those 4 bachelors as 1 bachelor, bachelor's degree, that's fine. But if you tell me you sat up in that schoolhouse for 6 years to get you 3 bachelors instead of a bachelor's and a master's, then my thought to you is you don't have a lot of good sense. Now, of these 4 degrees, how many were a master's? Do you got 2 bachelors, a master's, and a PhD? That would be okay. That makes sense, because a lot of times people have to get their master's to get their PhD, or it's en route, or they get the master's and they're like, you know what, I like this. I want to keep going. I personally think she liked the titles and she liked prestige. In other words, she likes stuff. And you know what happens to people who are addicted to stuff and how people appear? They go to fucking jail for fraud. For fraud.
Yeah, and
trust me, I was this close. I almost was engaged. Somebody was going to get us both locked the fuck up. And I had the good sense just weeks before my wedding to say, you know what, God, I don't want to go to jail. I can't fight. I really, really like real meat. I like seafood and carbs, and they don't have seafood in prison. And the shit this nigga gets involved with in order to keep up appearances is the shit niggas go to jail for. And I don't want to go to jail. So I chose to take my talents elsewhere. And now I'm a single woman. If you have a cousin, brother, uncle,
You single, but sis, you're living the life, okay?
Thank you.
You listen, I'll be ready to leave the
Yeah.
husband and the kids right here and come to Mexico with you. You live the life, okay? She is a jet
Thank
setter.
you. Thank you. But yeah, Miss Thing, all I'll say this in closing because I got to get to the Asian hibachi on my all inclusive resort. I'm not going to plug yet. I got to see how I like it and see what they're willing to work with me on. Overall, it seems like it all tracks, right? The fact that she gets on, she does, as we've said, she gets on. She doesn't even really live in Potomac. She lives really, really far away. She then completely changes her face and her appearance, which says, I want to look the part. I want to be the part. I don't feel I necessarily fit as I am, but I want to belong, right? And then goes out and basically starts acquiring ish to present as though they can afford a similar lifestyle as other castmates, as opposed to, as my understanding, there are some castmates who are like, hey, I ain't got it, but I'm beautiful, but I'm a housewife, but I'm a mom, but I'm interesting. At the end of the day, with this show, I think we all know that with this show, yes, you have to have a love interest. She's always had a husband. They're Nigerian. He's not going to go anywhere. He can get 3 more wives. He's still not going to leave you, girl. So you got a castmate. You're fine, Wendy. But what you have to be, rather than worried about the stuff, you have to be an interesting person, and you have to be someone that people want to film with. And if you're not that interesting and you know it, you're not fooling anybody with all your stuff, because stuff dissipates in the same way that Apollo went to prison for stuff. And so one thing I would say, I'm sure she's not watching this. I hope you're not watching this, because I don't want to make you feel bad. I don't want to make you feel bad. Sorry, my light went out. This Jesus telling me shut the fuck up and go to buffet. I don't make you feel bad, but I do want to say, if you're watching this, like, it would have been just fine for your storyline to be like, I got these 4 degrees and student loans, and I ain't got it.
Yeah.
But I'm beautiful and I'm kind and I'm smart and I'm funny and I will read you.
Right. We always relate to the real. People are drawn to the real in reality TV. And there's nothing more exhausting for a reality TV star, I say this all the time, than to keep up a front and a lie in front of national TV. It is always going to crumble.
Every time.
Yeah.
Every
So,
time.
Andy, Daddy, Uncle Andy, get a camera, Carroll County, immediately. We need this on the next season of Real Housewives of Potomac. Cameras up immediately.
Okay? They may even increase her salary just to be able to cover all of this.
Yeah.
Because, baby, she ain't going nowhere. Somebody has to think of her. No, they're not going to fire her. That is content. They want.
I don't know. The question is, right? Are they going to fire her or not? I'm not sure. But she was set to premiere on a new show, Wife Swap, the Housewives edition, that was set to premiere next week. They have pulled her episode and moved the season premiere back to the 21st of October. I was shocked by that, because we've had plenty of housewives in legal troubles, and they pulled her episode and moved the premiere back. So
what network is that on? Isn't that ABC?
That's on Bravo too.
Are you sure? You sure? You know Bravo better than me.
Mm-hmm.
You sure?
It's a new, they were doing like a housewife spinoff, like edition. And
if it was ABC, my guess would be the family friendliness of the Wife Swap. But yeah, I don't know what the excuse is there. That's weird.
Bravo is owned by NBC, but again, we've had multiple wives in legal troubles for worse things, if I'm being honest, and they pulled her episode. So I don't know if that means her role on Potomac is in jeopardy or not, but it would be a disservice not to have this on Real Housewives of Potomac. It would be a disservice to them and to us if we don't get to see this play out on TV. So I'm hoping, and definitely will keep you guys posted with the tea.
Thank you. Oh, I have to say, Violet is saying, I know several Ivy League students who are double majoring right now and attending Ivy League schools. So how do you sound now? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who have 4 bachelor's degrees. Those are idiots. Okay. Double majoring it can be easy because depending on what, like if your major is math and economics, they correspond. I'm talking about when people say you have 4 degrees and like 3 of them are bachelors and one's a PhD. So the goal is to increase your salary with your degree, not to just run around saying I have a degree, or oh, my favorite, people when they say I have 4 degrees and one of them is an associate's. Girl, bye. You had to get the associates to get the bachelor's, and the bachelor's is what is, getting you, enabling you to make more salary. So anyway,
Mhm.
you're just looking for something to complain about because I
Yeah.
think if you had listened to the conversation, you'd realize it's
And I'll tell you really quickly, and I have no degrees, okay? All I have is associates, and I went straight into the workforce at a very young age. But it says that she has a BA from Temple University. She has a
Mhm.
MA from Johns Hopkins University, and from
Okay.
Rutgers University, Camden, she has an MS and PhD.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because that's stepping stone. Because she got the master's, and then the MA and the PhD combination were probably you had to get the one to get the other. So that makes sense. That's better than I'm specifically was talking about people who will have like they'll say like I have an associate's, I have 2 bachelors and my master's. Well, okay, but if you have to pay extra, then it might have been good for you to stop at your associates and go work at a company that was going to pay for it. Like at the end of the day, if you have laden with debt, and here, the ultimate issue is the police particularly stated, oh yeah, we didn't cover this. This is the last thing. The police stated that they believe that the motive is that the 2 of them were in substantial debt. So that to me is why the degrees were relevant, because to the extent that some of that debt may be remaining student loans, or that debt comes from keeping up appearances, you've made your life harder than it had to be.
Yeah.
It didn't need to be this hard.
Right. So I'll definitely be looking out. Of course, there haven't been any posts or internet activity from Wendy or Eddie. I'll be looking to see if they have any statements from a lawyer. We will definitely follow the hearing that's coming up on November 7th. And we'll be looking for cameras in Carroll County
Yes.
to find
And
out
Carroll
if
County, it seems so excited to have this case that it's actually frightening.
yeah.
It's
That's what
scary.
makes me think, like you said, like they're gonna fry their boots because when I saw the press conference and I'm like, this cannot be serious. But yeah, they did a full on press conference. I said they're
Yeah, if
gonna make
I
an
were
example
them,
out of them.
I would just compare the Maryland sentencing guidelines to the federal guidelines with them being first time offenders, no other See if they're able to basically be up for the same amount of time federal, get that shit shifted. I don't know. Tell them to throw in some wire fraud on top of that bitch. I don't know, but the federal prison system, like they have more resources that she can go to a Martha Stewart place where she could do gardening. Did y'all see Martha's garden? Her garden in prison was lovely. It's on Netflix if you need to take a look at it. But yeah, I mean, I don't want the girl to do hard time. I don't want her to get beat up. She clearly cannot fight. Maybe she can go in there and teach some classes.
Yeah, my concern is the children. They have 3 very young children, and that was my concern. I saw Candace on the news, like literally finding out the news while on this show, and she was just shocked and said the same. She was sad for the children,
Mm,
but
mm, mm.
it seems like the parents may have not thought about that when they did what they did, but it's a sad situation. So
It
I'll
is. It is.
definitely keep you
Mhm.
guys posted. So, Attorney Simone, we're gonna let you go get to your hibachi because, as
Bye, y'all.
usual, she's jet setting. Tell the people where they can find you, what they
Oh
can
yes.
from as
Okay, my
always.
YouTube channel is called, if you're watching from Vanessa's channel, my channel is called Girl, Is That Legal on YouTube. And you can also find me on Instagram at Attorney Simone Redwine. All these words here together, Simone spelled with a Y. Bye, y'all. Have a great day.
Yes, and I'm V, where reality recap is down on the bottom of the screen. Reality_recap for all the trending reality news, gossip, and exclusive on all the reality TV stars. It's been great talking to you, Attorney Simone. Thank you all for checking in and commenting. Have a great evening. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. Peace.